Hello and welcome to the evening news for Monday, March 31, 2014. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. In the headlines, budget debates commence. Silal Persaud is new top cop. Dr. Luncheon recovering well. SASOT calls for intervention against sexual violence. Kelwan Lal says he's unaware of state media shake-up. 3 years on and still no soup kitchen. And Ramotar says government preparing NIS to be around forever. Now for the news in detail. The 2014 budget debates started this afternoon with the government drawing first blood as Housing Minister Irfan Ali and Shadow Finance Minister Carl Greenidge clashed at the start of the debates. Swatana Marshall reports.
The 2014 national budget debates got underway in the National Assembly with a humdrum presentation by the opposition economic pointman Carl Greenidge. Parliamentarians were debating the $220 billion budget presented by Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh, while 2 ambulances were parked and waiting in the Assembly's compound and a medical team in its lobby. Greenidge, who started the debate, accused the government of incorporating key positions and proposals made by the opposition during discussions held last year and earlier this year. He said the government and the president failed to properly consult the opposition in any meaningful manner to address its burning concerns. Greenidge accused the ruling party of manipulating the statistics and numbers in the budget to make it balance and appear as though significant positive economic growth was occurring constantly.
I want to say to you that if we are aware that we have taken certain routes in the past and the efforts to try and ensure that we don't end up in a cul-de-sac after these exchanges, after these efforts, then we really need to seriously pay attention to establishing modalities for dealing with difficulties that the majority identifies in relation to the government's program. And at the moment, it is the case that no mechanism exists for that. And I want to just give warning to my colleagues, Speaker, that, for example, in the manner in which the estimates have been formulated, as I had written to you last year, April, indicating we are still of the view, which you confirmed in your ruling, that the format of the estimates as presented to this House were not consistent with the constitutional requirements.
Meanwhile, Housing and Water Minister Irfan Ali, who led government's position on the budget, congratulated Dr. Ashni Singh on the presentation of what he called a realistic budget. He defended the estimates and wasted no time in pointing out that Greenidge failed in his bid to find fault in the budget and the measures contained therein.
In the construction sector, this is what the Honorable Prime Minister is saying. In the construction sector, I'm advised that 30,000 people are unemployed, and we have so many houses to build, and we'll build homes and we'll provide these jobs. Well, Mr. Speaker, we also want to send the same message. Here in Guyana, we will build homes, we will build hospitals, we will build schools, we will build hydropower, because we understand the importance of this for our economy. We, Mr. Speaker, we are not going to live without understanding the basic elements of growth and development. We have a responsibility as a government, and we are going to ensure we execute that responsibility.
Several other parliamentarians were set to make presentations before the House on the 2014 budget, including APNU's Keith Scott, Reverend Kwame Gilbert, Ronald Bulkan, Dr. Frank Anthony, and APNU's Vanessa Kisoon. The debates will continue tomorrow from 14 hours. Svetlana Marshall reporting for the Evening News.
Outgoing Police Commissioner Leroy Brummel officially passed on the mantle to his successor, Silal Persaud, as the new leader of the Guyana Police Force at the police headquarters, Eve Leary, Georgetown. Bashar Mohammed reports.
Commissioner Leroy Bromell has officially retired over the weekend, and the Guyana Police Force is now being managed by Crime Chief Silal Prasad. This was confirmed by police spokesman Ivla Whitaker, who also noted that the handing over was done at a brief ceremony this morning. Bromell, whose time as police commissioner ended in February, was asked to stay on for 1 month to facilitate a smooth transition to the next top cop. Ever since the announcement of Bromell's retirement, Prasad, 50, who holds a bachelor's degree in public management and a postgraduate diploma in international studies from the University of Guyana, has been listed as the most suitable candidate. He also holds a certificate course for senior executives in national and international security from Harvard University. However, his post as crime chief has been taken up by his deputy, Winston Cuthbert. Cuthbert moved to his new location, police headquarters, on Monday morning. Now that Silal has been appointed as the acting police commissioner, a substantive appointment can only be done with the reconstitution of the Police Services Commission and the Public Services Commission. Opposition leader David Granger told this newscast that the appointment of the new Commissioner of Police is hindered by the absence of those two commissions. The opposition leader has confirmed that he was written to by President Ramatar on an aspect of the appointment of the Police Commissioner, but before this can be done, there has to be consultations between the government and the opposition. He said that while there has been an attempt to have talks about the appointment, the constitutional conditions have to be met. Bisham Mohammed, The Evening News.
Coordinator of Public Information in the Office of the President, Kelwan Lal, says he's unaware of any moves to reform the state media, despite widespread reports that new managers are to be appointed. Alexis Rodney has the details.
Coordinator of Public Information in the Office of the President, Kelwan Lal, when contacted by this newscast earlier today, said that he had no knowledge of the alleged impending reshuffling of the state media. However, reports reaching this newscast revealed that Acting Chief Executive Officer of the National Communication Network, Michael Gordon, will early next month take up the mantle as the General Manager of the Guyana Chronicle. Sources within the National Communications Network have hinted two possible replacements for Gordon. The Evening News was reliably informed that head of the Government Information Agency, Niaz Saban, is likely to also act as the new CEO. There are also talks that sales manager Raymond Aziz may be offered the position. The shake-up at NCN came a few weeks after Chronicle's Sunday editor, Linda Rutherford, was reportedly demoted to acting editor by President Donald Ramatar. Asked to comment on this, Lal told this newscast that he was also unaware of Rutherford's demotion. The Sunday editor was allegedly stripped of her post after a story appeared on the front page of the state-owned newspaper, declaring that former President Bart Jagdeo was favored as PPP presidential candidate. The article seems to have caused major disruption within the PPP. Officials within the PPP have maintained that the former president is not eligible to run for another term and that they are resolute in their support for President Donald Ramatar. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
This is the Evening News. Stay tuned. More news still ahead. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. The Society Against Sexual Orientation Discrimination, SASOD, Secretary Zenita Nicholson has bemoaned the high level of sexual and domestic violence cases in recent times, noting that enough is not being done in delivering justice to the victims. Gomati Gangadin reports.
Speaking at a public forum held in observance of International Day for the Right to the Truth concerning gross human rights violations and for the dignity of victims observed on March 24th each year, Zenita Nicholson said that even though the Sexual Violence Act was signed into law in 2010, it did not come into effect until 2013. She further explained that though the act is in place, there is much more that needs to be done for victims of sexual abuse, more specifically sex workers and victims of police brutality. Echoing her sentiments was Danuta Razik, an official from Help and Shelter. The official made specific reference to the Colwyn Harding saga, where the young man of West Rumville, Georgetown, alleged that Police Constable 19175, identified as Devin Mahendra Singh of Monterey Post, East Coast, Demerara, between November 15th to 18, 2013, raped him with a condom-covered baton.
Access to justice based on best practices and internationally accepted standards must become a reality for all in Guyana, regardless of sex, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, income, age, disability, and geography. Resources must be provided for increased and improved services, including integrated comprehensive services with protocols. And justice for Colwyn Harding must become a reality if we are to put an end to police impunity, violence, torture, and sexual exploitation, and ensure that Guyana state institutions put into effect internationally accepted standards and practices for ensuring that such gross human rights violations are punished and outlawed.
Razik said to this day justice for Harding has not been served, and the authorities seem to have forgotten about the young man and his fight for justice. Wintrust White, an official from the Red Thread organization, said that sex workers continue to battle daily in an effort to access justice.
A sex worker approached me and said, I got raped. And I said, what you did about it? She said, I went to the police station and the police say, you already selling sex money, you cannot be raped. And they chased her out of the police station. I look at this woman and I literally see her crying. So I said to her, we would go back to the police station. She did not want to go back. I told her we should, but she said, I ain't going back there to feel like how I feel. You put yourself in my shoes, walk my walk, and then talk to me. So I couldn't get her to go back. And that thing lingers in my mind all the time. Because of the nature of their work also, lots of clients take advantage on them. Because they know the climate of the police force, and the police don't want to act. I shouldn't say inability. They don't want to act, so clients take advantage on sex workers.
The forum, which was a collaborative effort between the Colwyn Harding Support Group, Help and Shelter, Red Thread, and SASAD, was held in the St. Stanislaus College's auditorium. The event attracted members of the general public, students from the University of Guyana, and several interested organizations. For the Evening News, I'm Gomati Gangadin.
In the courts, 30-year-old Sheriff Ahmad of Grove on the east bank of Demerara was today sentenced to 18 months imprisonment after appearing in the Georgetown Magistrates Court before Chief Magistrate Priya Sinarain Behari. Ahmad pleaded not guilty to the charge read before him. It is alleged that on March 27 at around 9 hours on High Street, Georgetown, the defendant attempted to commit a felony, that is, robbery. Police prosecutor Michael Grant told the court that in the day in question, the virtual complainant Jennifer Ashram was walking along High Street and using her cell phone when the defendant approached the woman from behind and proceeded to relieve her of the cellular device. A subsequent scuffle ensued between the two parties, which attracted the attention of a nearby police patrol. The defendant was subsequently arrested and told of the charge. According to Grant, the man who was unrepresented in court was previously convicted of a similar offense. The Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, in collaboration with Youth Challenge Guyana, will be hosting a public photo story seminar highlighting the challenges brought out by climate change through photography. Svetlana Marshall reports.
The Caribbean Development Bank, in collaboration with the Amerindian Affairs Ministry and Youth Challenge Guyana, will host a photo storytelling seminar on April 4th to highlight the damaging effects of climate change. During an interview with the Evening News, Youth Challenge Guyana Director Dimitri Nicholson said that the seminar, which is set for the Regency Suites Hotel, will attract approximately 50 youths between the ages of 16 and 29 from Region 3, 4, 5, and 6.
The intent of the seminar is to allow them to understand the type of skills needed on how to use their cameras and their creativity to share what their views are.
Following the seminar, a production will be done to transcend the message across the country, thereby edifying the nation's youth. The seminar and production are also being done to help persons between the ages of 16 and 29 compete in the upcoming Vibesing Photo Challenge contest based on climate change. The challenge will run from March 31 to May 9th.
We would like people to be a part of this seminar because we believe that climate change is becoming a greater global issue. And for Guyana to be protected against the ills of climate change, our youth and children need to know about climate change. And the more we can bring attention to this issue, it's going to help to reduce the kind of tragedies that we face as a result of climate change.
The contest is in keeping with the tradition upheld by the Caribbean Development Bank. It was explained that Guyana will this year host the 44th Annual Board of Governors meeting of the CDB during the week of May 26th to 29th. Forming part of that annual meeting would be a youth outreach program dubbed Vibesing. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Gomati Gangadin.
Presidential Advisor on Governance Gail Teixeira today refuted claims that head of the Presidential Secretariat, Dr. Roger Lunchen's health is deteriorating. Contrary to reports, Dr. Lunchen is said to be recovering well. Details from Gabriela Patram.
Some people want to bury Dr. Lunchen before his time. Presidential Advisor on Governance Gail Teixeira said during an interview with the Evening News. While admitting that Dr. Lunchen is ill, she maintained that the Cabinet Secretary is recovering. Dr. Lunchen is not dying, he just has some health issues and he's working with his doctor, as the Presidential Advisor added, noting that the PPPC administration is receiving regular updates on his health status. He is reportedly working from his residence in accordance with his job portfolio. Questioned about his post at the National Insurance Scheme NIS, Teixeira said there is currently an acting chairperson. That person will work in that capacity until Dr. Lunchen fully recovers. The head of the Presidential Secretariat has been unwell for the past 3 weeks. He is reportedly receiving medical attention at his home. Efforts proved futile when this newscast attempted to contact Dr. Lunchen for an invited comment. For the Evening News, I'm Gabriela Patram.
This is the Evening News. Stay tuned for more news after the break. Welcome back. This is the Evening News on TVG. Bakewell representatives today bemoaned inefficiency on the part of the Human Services Minister Jennifer Webster for the long-proposed soup kitchen being incomplete. Gabriela Patram reports.
Today, sources within the Bakewell group of companies said that they are awaiting a meeting with the Human Services Ministry before work on the long-proposed soup kitchen recommences. The source related that after the death of the brainchild of the initiative, Naheem Nasir, construction works on the building have come to a standstill since the family was allowed some time to mourn the man's death. The Evening News then contacted the Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Jennifer Webster, who, when asked for a comment on the issue, astutely stated that it is not an issue that the Evening News should be following up on. The Human Services Ministry is collaborating with the management of Bakewell to construct the facility in Brickdam next to the Palms Geriatric Home. The kitchen, when completed, is supposed to provide meals for over 2,500 on a daily basis. It is expected that the beneficiaries will have access to bathroom and shower facilities and personal assistance, and a fresh change of clothing. The idea for the soup kitchen was first introduced by Nasir, who was then CEO of the Bakewell Group of Companies. For the Evening News, I'm Gabriela Patram.
The $226 million allocation to the ailing National Insurance Scheme this year will be used to improve the scheme's efficiency. This is according to President Donald Ramotar, as we hear in this report from Alexis Rodney.
President Donald Ramotar said that while the National Insurance Scheme remains in its liquid state, the government still sees the need to render assistance. At the time, the president was responding to a menu of questions posed to him during a press conference at his office on Thursday last.
You know that last year, I think it was for the first time, when its payout was more than its revenue. So those are things that we have to take into consideration to we have to prepare the NIS to be there forever.
A significant portion of the fund will also be used to offset research expenses, the president said. He expressed the hope that NIS will use some of the funds to initiate a restorative plan. Chairman of the NIS Management Board and head of the Presidential Secretariat, Dr. Roger Luncheon, had acknowledged that the insurance company was experiencing financial difficulties, but said the situation had not evolved into a crisis. The company had complained of not receiving the $5.2 billion that was pumped into the now liquidated insurance company CLICO. On the flip side, the opposition had bashed the scheme for its risky investment into the Berbice River Bridge project. For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
Back in the courts, 3 men were today remanded to prison by Chief Magistrate Priya Sinarain Bihari after they appeared in the Georgetown Magistrates Courts on 2 charges. The men, Joshua Meredith, aged 19, a labourer of Lot 34 Queen Street, Georgetown, 24-year-old Dennis Downer, a vendor of Lot 12A Rosemary Street, Tiger Bay, and Delon Ali, aged 24, of Lot 13A Water and Home Street, Georgetown, all pleaded not guilty when the 2 charges of robbery and break and enter were read to them. It is alleged that during the period of March 26 to 27, the defendants broke and entered the business place of Avish Baksani and stole a quantity of items totaling in value over $2.5 million. Police prosecutor Michael Grant told the court that on the day in question, at around 3 hours 30, the virtual complainant secured his store and made his way home. On March 27, Baksani received a call informing him that his store had been broken into. The police were contacted, and upon arrival, the ranks noticed 3 persons walking out the store. The officers gave chase, and the defendants were subsequently arrested in a house where the other stolen articles were found. The prosecutor then objected to bail, citing the seriousness and prevalence of the offence. The men are expected to return to court on April 13. In case you've just joined us, you're watching the Evening News. Stay tuned for sports, sponsored by MacCorp after the break. Welcome back now for a look at sport, but first, the headlines. Kerwin Clark repeats as Mr. Euros Classic. St. George's and Lodge to contest Milo Schools football final. Top sport persons for 2013 honoured, and Herat befuddles New Zealand, and the Netherlands humble England in World T20. Of course, our sportcast comes to you with the kind compliments of MacCorp.
We believe that everything worth building should be built just once. That is why we build on culture, on trust, on integrity. We exist to do more, better, faster, safer. Your success depends on the foundation it's built on. Everything we do is meant to move you forward. MacCorp, let's build Guyana together.
Welcome back. We start off with some cricket news. Sri Lanka bowled New Zealand out for 60 to book their place in the World T20 semi-finals with a 59-run win. Chasing a seemingly modest 120 in Chittagong to reach the last 4, the Kiwis slumped to their second lowest World T20 total. The slow left-armer Rangana Herat claimed remarkable figures of 5 for 3, and the off-spinner Shachitra Shinayake claimed 2 for 3. Sri Lanka's Group 1 winners will play the West Indies or Pakistan in the semi-final in Mirpur on Thursday. And England's winter of discontent ended on a new low with a humiliating 45-run defeat against the Minnows Netherlands at the World T20 in Chittagong. With neither side able to reach the semi-finals, the Dutch raced to 84 for 1 in 11 overs before they were limited to 133 for 5. But in reply, England mustered only 4 boundaries and were all out in the 18th over for just 88. Ravi Bopara top scored with 18. According to the BBC, if 12 defeats in 13 matches against Australia on the Ashes tour was difficult to explain, a comprehensive thrashing by a part-time team that does not play Test cricket was even tougher to fathom. Cheered on by a massive, vocal and appreciative audience, Kerwin Chisel Clark wormed his way to a successful defence of the Mr. Euros Classic title on Saturday evening at the National Cultural Centre. More in this report. Winner of the title in 2012, a confident and well-defined Clark waltzed his way to victory ahead of 4 other competitors in the final pose-down. Standing at 5 foot 9 inches and weighing 173 pounds, Clark was a cut above the rest of the athletes with his poise, confidence and elegance on stage. The crowd's continuous reverberation of Clark's name every time he stepped on stage may have influenced the outcome of the judge's decision, as he was a clear favourite with the large crowd. In the final pose-down, Clark was up against the category winners Devon Davis bantamweight, Marlon Bennett lightweight, Sylvester Andrews welterweight and Alex Hamilton heavyweight. Speaking to the media at the conclusion of the Classic, Clark said his victory came through hard work, spending numerous hours in the gym.
Great feeling. I train hard for it. I'm very dedicated. Even though we had some ups and downs along the line, my camp keep me focused, suffering a major leg injury, resulted in me doing therapy for it. But I was very focused. I stuck to my game plan, and I managed to grab it here.
Prior to Clark's sizzling display, American Jeff Classic Beckham wowed the crowd with a tremendous performance as guest poser of the evening. The 32-year-old, boasting 280 pounds of muscles, was a hit with the crowd as he strutted his well-defined physique to popular tracks which captivated the audience. Guyana's internationally acclaimed bodybuilder Hugh Arlington Ross, in whose honour the event was held, also sizzled the crowd with a flawless display, the kind of performance he has become known for on the international stage. On the distaff side, Deslyn Clark emerged winner of the Miss Bikini competition ahead of Danella Long and Chanel Warner. Nadina Taharali won the Miss Figure ahead of Clark and Letitia Miles, while Alicia Fortune won her 4th Miss Physique title in the other segment of the night. Finance Officer of the Classic, Dexter Garnett, said the event was a tremendous success as the large crowd and heated on-stage rivalry made it a memorable night.
Every other area should be standard and lifting, and you could see this one was more smoother. It was a clean flow of the show and everybody was enjoying it. Okay, and it was a bigger turnout than the last one.
Garnett promised a bigger and better show in 2016, noting that preparations for that event began at the conclusion of Saturday night's show. Football news. Defending champions St. George's Secondary played some brilliant football on Saturday at the Ministry of Education ground to defeat Christchurch 3-0 and comfortably mark their way to the final of the Petra-organised Milo Schools Under-20 football tournament. The victory means a spot in the championship game against Lodge Secondary, as we hear this Tristan Joseph report.
Ozil Small released a powerful shot from about 30 yards out that rocked the top right-hand corner of the net in the 19th minute to open the scoring for St. George's. Orin Moore's goal in the 57th, followed by a goal from Marlon Duncan in the 88th minute, would seal the deal for the defending champs, whose coach Yannick Butler believes they will successfully defend their title.
We're working hard, training every day, so we're the defending champion for this tournament, and we're going to remain the defending champions.
Meanwhile, Lodge Secondary found their way into the final with a 3-1 victory over Dolphin Secondary in their encounter. Orlando Gravesandi would open the scoring in the 16th minute for Lodge, while Shamar Smith would make it 2-0 in the 50th minute. Dolphin would strike in the 56th minute with a free kick from 20 yards out off the boot of Job Caesar, before Gravesandi would double in the 74th to put the game out of reach, as Lodge coach Leon Bishop is optimistic about the team's chances in the final.
This year we make up our mind that we will go for the goal and we should want to win it, and we will train hard like we have been doing, and we will take this forward, and let's see Saturday we will win.
The final will be on April 5th with the third place game starting from 16 hours, followed by the final between Lodge Secondary and the defending champs St. George's High School.
And finally in sport, nation building through sport was the recurring theme on Friday evening when the National Sports Commission hosted its annual Sports Awards ceremony at the National Cultural Centre. President Donald Ramotar, who delivered the keynote address, spoke on the economic benefits that can be derived from sport, while Sport Minister Dr. Frank Anthony dwelled on the health aspect, and Director of Sport Neil Kumar revealed government's investment in the sector over the last year. More from Bishar Mohammed.
His Excellency, who was attending his second award ceremony since becoming Guyana's 7th executive president, pointed out that sport can be used as a significant source of revenue generation and a massive platform for the promotion of sport tourism. Ramotar intimated that his government is not oblivious to this and as such has embraced the notion of using sport to build a nation.
Sports also have many economic benefits. The national and international tournaments can have direct and indirect economic benefits to an economy. And a good example in our case is last year when we had the CPL, some of the CPL matches here. Guyana invested $175,000 and was to get about $915,000 worth of marketing exposure for the country. That's the estimate from the experts.
Dr. Anthony said his ministry is keen on having fit and healthier population and will be looking to have more quality physical education programs in the schools.
One of the things that we want to see happen is that there must be quality physical education and sports experiences that are available to every school child in Guyana. And we believe, because we are now seeing that from a very young age, the children are becoming obese, that we need to get them out in the field so that they can play a little bit more.
Kumar, the long-serving Director of Sport, shared similar sentiments, adding that the government has made it a priority to construct new facilities across the country and develop existing ones in order to encourage the hosting of sporting activities.
The building and construction of several diverse sports facilities around the country over the last 2 years is indeed encouraging as a manifestation of promises kept. The PDP city government spends approximately $3 billion in the construction and maintenance of state-of-the-art facilities to promote and enhance the various sporting disciplines in Guyana.
In front of an appreciative audience that included several prominent individuals in the sporting arena, the top performers for the period January 1 to December 31, 2013 were honored for their efforts. Differently abled table tennis player Safraz Gibran was the top awardee in that category for the second year in succession. Stabrook News' Orlando Charles was adjudged the top photographer of 2013, while Avinash Ramzan of Guyana Times Television Guyana collected Sports Journalist of the Year non-print for the third year in a row and fourth time overall. Stabrook News' Emerson Campbell was the top journalist in the print category. The Most Improved Association was the Guyana Boxing Association under the leadership of Stephen Inval, while the Guyana Table Tennis Association was the Association of the Year. Manager of the 2013 Carifta Games team Amanda Hermanstyle and Guyana Table Tennis Association President Godfrey Munro won the Female and the Male Sport Personality Awards, while the Guyana Senior Squash team was voted Team of the Year. Boxing coach Terence Poole was voted Coach of the Year. Table tennis star Chelsea Edgell copped the Junior Sportswoman accolade, with athlete Cassie George being the runner-up, while runner Jason Yaw was the Junior Sportsman, with table tennis player Shamar Britton being runner-up. West Indies all-rounder Shermaine Campbell won the Senior Sportswoman trophy, with hockey goalkeeper Alcia Chavir being the runner-up, while Test cricketer Shivnarine Chandrapal copped the Senior Sportsman Award for the 7th time, leaving powerlifter Winston Stobie to settle for the runner-up trophy. The evening's proceedings was capped by a special presentation to Guyana's lone Olympic medalist Michael Anthony Paris, by the Russian Federation of Guyana. Paris, a former boxer, copped a bronze medal in the bantamweight division at the 1980 Moscow Games and was presented with a special token by Ambassador Nikolai D. Smirnov. Bisham Mohammed, The Evening News.
And with that, we have come to the end of sport, which was sponsored by MacCorp. Of course, you can find these and many more stories in tomorrow's edition of the Guyana Times. And here's an invitation to join us on TVG Channel 28 and on Radio Guyana Inc. 89.3 in Essequibo, 89.5 in Jarsugan Environs, and 89.7 in Berbice and Unicary, Suriname. Stay tuned. Here are Bridge Reports on the other side of the world.
We believe that everything worth building should be built just once. That is why we build on culture, on trust, on integrity. We exist to do more, better, faster, safer. Your success depends on the foundation it's built on. Everything we do is meant to move you forward. MacCorp, let's build Guyana together.
This is the Evening News. Welcome back. Now for a look at your bridge reports. The Demerara Harbour Bridge will be closed on Tuesday, April 1 at 5 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. And the Berbice River Bridge will be closed on Tuesday, April 1 at 5 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. And with that, we've come to the end of the Evening News for Monday, March 31, 2014. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching.